5 clients. That's all it takes to grow a 6-figure business coaching practice. That's all you need is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you have yourself a 6-figure business coaching practice. We're going to talk about that today on today's episode of the Business Coaching Success Podcast, Mastering Lead Generation for Sustainable Success. Let's go. BJ O'Neill here with the Business Coaching Success Podcast. So glad you're here, where I share with you strategies, tools, and tips to be able to grow your business coaching practice to 6 figures and beyond as a Christian business coach. Let's jump in. Hey, BJ O'Neill here with the Business Coaching Success Podcast. Glad you're here. We're going to jump right into things, all related to mastering lead gen success. This is a huge part of building a sustainable, long-lasting 6-figure business coaching practice. Real quick, if you're considering coaching, you've thought about it a long time, maybe you own a business. We have a lot of coaches in our network who do own businesses or have owned businesses, sold them, and so on. A lot of different backgrounds with our coaches. But regardless of what your background is, maybe you desire to help others and you want to become a coach. Maybe you've been helping people for free for a long time. Maybe you've done it here and there just, randomly, but you want to build a solid, sustainable coaching practice. You just know where to start. You can go to businesscoachingmastery.com. That's business coach. Let me say it correctly. businesscoachmastery.com. There's some information there. You can book a call. And I can share with you all the details of how we have 65 plus coaches scattered all over the country, all kinds of different backgrounds, developing and growing solid business coaching practices. Mastering lead gen for sustainable success. I said a few moments ago, all it takes is 5 clients to build a solid 6-figure business coaching practice. And you may ask, well, how? Well, how does that work? And it's math at the end of the day, and that's all there is to it. The ranges that coaches charge typically fall between $1,000 and $5,000 per month for one-on-one coaching. Yes, there's group coaching. Yes, there is mastermind style coaching, but I'm referring to one-on-one coaching. The average is around $2,000. Okay, and so if you have 5 clients at $2,000, that's $120,000 a year. Okay, now that might not be your number. That might not be your need. You may be higher or lower. It doesn't matter. But for context, that's the way you want to look at this. While $2,000 is certainly the average, we have coaches who charge well north of that. Clearly, they're experienced. They've been coaching for a while. That might not be where you start. And by the way, some coaches that start, but they've had a lot of experience working with businesses in either the 9 to 5 job that they had or whatever. Certainly, those experiences transfer in a significant way. And so, yeah, you can start at that 2,000 or higher even. And so the numbers are all over the place, but that's how you get there, okay? So if you're curious and you're wanting to know, hey, well, I see this all the time about how do you earn, 10,000, 15,000, 20,000. It's math when it's all said and done. You need an X amount of clients. You're going to charge an X amount. If you get into group coaching, clearly that begins to change things. We're not going to tackle that today. Few things to think about on mastering lead gen for sustainable success. So right out of the gate, there is a tendency to have a aversion to this term lead generation, which I would argue, if that's you, I want you to rethink, reshape, reprogram your mindset around it. Because you first, and number one, need to understand that we want to build a foundation of predictable revenue stream. Let's say that again. We want to build a foundation of a predictable revenue stream. That's what lead generation is. And I'm not going to get too drilled down into all the different specific ways that you can approach lead gen. What I want to make sure you understand is, number one, from a mindset, it's something that you will do forever. And those who fall in love with it, I say forever. I'm going to be very clear about what that means in just a second. Because there's all kinds of different activities. There's going to networking events. There's, working. If you have a very strong network of those who already know you, like you, and trust you, great place to start. Well, I don't know business owners. I didn't say you have to know business owners. I'm talking about your network. You should always have an appetite for constant network building, period. That is by far the keys to the kingdom, the keys to success is someone who constantly develops day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, day 300, day 1,000, and so on. They're constantly developing those people who they know, those people who you get to know, those people who you're introducing people to, and vice versa. No questions about it. But maybe networking, maybe workshops, creating joint ventures. The list kind of goes on and on. Okay, and we talk about that in our Done For You system that we give to coaches. But beyond that, you definitely want to have this mindset that really shapes how you view lead gen. Because lead gen is essentially building solid foundational relationships where you're going to add value and solve problems. That's the way you need to consider to look at lead generation. You don't want to look at lead gen as just this foundational principle that, oh my gosh, I hate lead gen. Well, if you hate it in any business that you were to start, you're likely going to struggle, and you're probably going to struggle a lot. Because psychologically, from a mindset perspective, when you have this idea that I don't like doing that part of it, it's not that you want to fall in love with the like doing it part. You want to fall in love with the results. And if you fall in love with the result, that's where you can build the predictability of the revenue stream. Okay? So if you're from a sales environment, then you'll understand that yes, there's some KPIs at some point that you're going to create on term. How many people should I talk to on a given week, month, quarter, and so on? You bet. You definitely are going to want to do that. But bigger than that, it's developing that plan, doubling down, rinse and repeat. And I don't care if you only have 1 hour a day or if you have 7 hours a day. It's all relative, period. If you still have your W-2 job, and a lot of coaches start with a full-time job, a lot of coaches do that. Or a lot of coaches will start with that and also, their business that they own. Happens all the time. And so it's all relative to the time and space that you have. But the entire purpose of this term, lead generation, and then the whole conversation we're having here is building lead gen for sustainable success, is the foundation of understanding I'm building a predictable revenue stream. Okay? So what that means is I'm going to take numbers and skill and connect them. Meaning that it's not just a numbers game by itself, because if you're not developing the skill and the muscle, you might struggle. If all you're doing is building the skill and the muscle, and you don't have enough quantity, then it's probably not. It's going to be challenging. So you want to have a constant appetite of building the skill. Again, if that's workshops, if that's joint venture partnerships, if that's your networking, if the list goes on and on. By the way, real quick. If you're asking the question, well, what is the best lead generation tactics? And all I'll say to that for this conversation is no doubt that workshops, when you get 4, 5, 8 people in a room and you're teaching them content, think about it like as a believer, as a Christian, if you go to church consistently and you're a part of any small group of any kind. Why do small groups? You look at that. God created us to communicate. He created us to have the need for being with one another. That's the reason why when you have a number of people in a room and you're the person who's getting to teach them content, strategy, and so on, that's how you're building that know, like, and trust. So it is by far one of the best ways to build a predictable revenue stream. That might not be your ballgame. That's fine. But if you were wondering, there's your answer. Workshops is by far one of the best ways to do that. Okay. So number one, we're building a foundational predictable revenue stream. We're understanding that I'm going to continue to build my skill set, and I'm going to continue to do it consistently with some numbers. So if I'm doing a workshop, a consistency means I'm going to do maybe 1 per week or 3 per month or 2 per month, whatever my time and bandwidth allows me to do so. And I'm going to do it day in and day out for the entire year. That's predictability. And if you do that, you're going to get better at it over time, and you're going to build your confidence It's all going to increase. If you decide to do that in the networking realm, I'm going to go to 2 to 3 networking events every single week. Again, every market, every area is totally different, so it just depends upon where you live, and so on. I'm going to build relationships with business brokers, with financial planners, with CPAs. I'm not just going to have one of them. I'm going to build 10 of them, or I'm going to add 2 per quarter, or so on. This is how you build predictability, by having consistency, and you measure it, and you do it rinse and repeat, and you do it over and over, you do it over and over, you do it over and over, okay? Number 2, you want to build, you want to build brand awareness and trust. Again, we're talking about to being sustainable. So if I'm doing workshops, if I'm doing a networking, or perhaps I'm doing a blend of the two. Now, I will tell you that one of my favorites is absolutely making sure that everyone in your network, everyone that you know, your neighbors, people you go to church with, your family, that they fully understand what you do. As you're building community, as you're building relationship, it's going to automatically build your awareness and build trust, especially when you do it in a way that completely communicates exactly how you help businesses achieve success. And we won't get into the marketing message of that today, but you definitely want to be prepared with that message, which I talk about on a consistent basis. But as you're doing that, people begin to sense and understand your value proposition. They begin to see you as someone who is values driven. They begin to see you as a problem solver. And when you're doing these things consistently, you're going to get the benefit over time of the organic application of how that works in building awareness and building trust. Because if all you do is you approach this from a sales perspective, in other words, you're seeing everyone as a number. You're seeing everyone as, but they would be a great client. Well, maybe they would. But I'm a big believer, and I've lived it, and I watch plenty of other coaches do the same thing, is those that have a mindset wrapped around problem solving, when they have a mindset wrapped around adding value, automatically you're building that trust and awareness. Then when you add in tools, and in our Done For You system, we give our coaches tools to do this. We co-write books with you. We give you content to use to do these types of things. We give you strategies and different ways to interact with those. So you're building a foundation of predictable revenue streams. You're building brand and awareness and trust as you're building your business coaching practice. Over time, here's what's going to happen as you do this. Doesn't matter what channel or what strategy, I should say, that you're using in building your leads. You want to enhance the quality over time. You're going to begin to recognize, and look, everyone matters, but you're going to begin to recognize the right fit for you as a coach. Now, in the beginning, let me just tell you that you may not know that, and that's okay. You might have the first couple of clients that you recognize probably not the right fit. It could be the size of the business, the industry of the business, the personality of the business owner, and so on. But as you get better, as you get to know more people, as you have more conversations, things will begin to crystallize, and you're going to start to recognize for yourself what's the best fit. But you want to have that as a measurement. You want to think about that. And you want to be careful with it because, again, the goal is to add value. The goal is to build relationships in all the different ways that we're talking about. And certainly you don't want to see them as a number at all. But we also want to be respectful of their time, and you have to be respectful of your own. And that's when you do begin to recognize and to build this ideal, you could call it a client avatar, call it whatever you want, that says, because you don't want, everybody can't be your client. It won't work that way. Over time, you're going to build that preferred client for yourself. Can't stress enough. You don't want to overly fixate it on the beginning. In the beginning, when you don't know, that's going to get dialed in over time. This is what's going to help you master the sustainability. Because if you're constantly just going after everything, your business coaching practice is not going to be sustainable. You're going to have people are going to cancel on you, or you're going to cancel them, and so on. That's why you want to make sure that you're increasing the quality of the individuals that you're talking to. And that starts, by the way, you're going to recognize, maybe you decide I'm going to go to some networking events. You're going to recognize that some of them are not the right fit for you. They may not be the right types of businesses for a lot of different variables. And so it's not just the right kind of client. You want to begin to make sure that if you're doing workshops, that you're inviting the right types of prospects. We've had this happen many times where we've had new coaches who are so eager and so excited. They do workshops and things just are always off kilter, and they begin to recognize, I've got the wrong people in the room. Okay? Last, persistence and adaptation. Persistence is by far a bedrock, I'm going to say it again, a bedrock of the future of building that business coaching practice. Every single day is going to look different. Every single week is going to look different. Every single month is going to feel different sometimes, right? And the persistency of just getting up and doing it again is critical. There's going to be days that you're going to win. It's going to be amazing. There's going to be other days where it just did not go as to plan. You do workshops in lead gen. You invited, 8 people. They all confirmed. And for some reason, only one person showed up. That happens. It's real. It's normal. And it's okay. If you quit, if you quit, you don't get to see the success of, in the future you and what you're trying to build. And that's where persistence comes in. You may go to multiple networking events. You may set up a relationship with a joint venture. You may sit down with people in your network. Sometimes it goes great. Sometimes it doesn't. It's critical that you persist. The second thing is you adapt. Building a sustainable coaching business requires the opportunity and the ability to adapt. Now, you don't want to just change willy-nilly and all the time just because it's not going the way you want. You want to make sure you verify it for sure. But you've got to learn to adapt. By the way, economies change. You got to adapt, right? Seasons change. You got to adapt. The entire bedrock of adaptation is learning. And before that, it's really a mindset and an openness that I don't know everything. I'm going to have an appetite, an insatiable appetite to constantly learn. And as you do that, you're going to develop that skill set and that muscle that we talked about earlier. You're going to develop that skill set and that muscle to understand, hey, it's time to adapt. I'll give you a quick example in the last one. For our coaching network, we run consistent paid lead generation. And we will have ads that do well for quite a while. And it's pretty normal. And then guess what? All of a sudden, they don't start going well. Now, I could take 2 different approaches to that. I can look at that and I can go, oh, this is frustrating. Why all of a sudden is it not working? It's been working for so long. Why now? What happened? Or I can have the mindset to apply learning on a consistent basis. And as I've gotten to know other people, as I've developed relationships in lead gen communities and just others that I know who also spend a lot of time and effort and energy into paid lead gen, I could look at all that and I could learn. And as I'm beginning to the experiences and hear what others are doing, I begin to recognize that you can't rest on a couple of ads forever. Eventually, they wear themselves out. Because I know that, I expect it, and I'm prepared. And then I adapt, understanding that that's the way it works. So all along the journey in the 3 areas of building a coaching business, where do I get leads and clients? How do I convert them? And how do I coach them? I understand that I'm going to be adaptable throughout the entire process. We're focused on the lead gen part of that, obviously. And we understand that, you may have a strategy that has worked out really, really well, and all of a sudden it doesn't work as well as it used to. Rather than just going down with the ship, we adapt, we adjust, we find either a better way or a different way or a new way to continue to build our coaching practice. Hope that makes sense to you. I hope that's given you value today. I hope that's given you some things to think about. Again, if you're considering building a business coaching practice, you don't know where to start, go to businesscoachmastery.com, get some information there, reach out to us. We'll have a conversation with you to help you determine how you can build a solid six-figure business coaching practice for yourself and beyond. All right? Until next time, take care.